Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Period. Tonight I got a good one, y'all. I got a guest with me tonight. We're going to introduce him in a second. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify. We try and get a little bit of everywhere, man. Definitely trying to grow this channel. But tonight, I got Brother Henry joining me tonight. So, Brother Henry, go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Yes, sir. First, it's my honor and pleasure to be here. Um, Sharing your audience with you definitely is an honor for me. Long story short, I'm one of the co-founders of Kikifer's Entrepreneurial Academy, and that's a private K through 12. It's a one-on-one in the country. Every student who attends has to start a small business that generates revenue, and every student who attends also has to publish a minimum of one book a year. And Black owned, of course. We do Black History year round. That's it in a nutshell. But I'm one of the co-founders. My wife is the other co-founder.
Okay, all right. So let's start, sort of take it kind of to the beginning. So, what inspired you to want to start a school?
Uh, to be honest, so as the story goes, so me and my wife we owned a beauty supply store, and it had two floors on the beauty supply store. The second floor was more like event space that we used to rent out, and we were renting it out, but like young people kept throwing parties and stuff. Police kept getting called. So me and my wife were talking one day, and we're like, we're not making money on the event space Monday through Thursday, and Monday through Friday we're not making it in the daytime. We were only really having events like Friday nights and Saturday nights. So we said, well, what can we do to make money Monday through Friday? So, of course, my initial thought was like, where's everybody at? We said, well, they're at school. So we said, oh, what if we started a school? So I went to Google and I looked up, the cost to start a school, and it was like $500,000 to $1 million. So he was like, well, we can't do that. We can't start that venture. So we were looking, but we didn't quite know what we were gonna do. But as as the universe happens, we kind of were talking about the importance of education in our community, and my wife ran into this sister who had a school, but she only had one student. So we're like, it's intriguing. My wife is like, "How are you running a school with only one student? It doesn't make sense." And the lady was like, "Well, this is my last student. When she graduates, I'm shutting my school down." And so my wife started getting information from her on how she was running her school. And so, of course, when she came and told me, I said, "Well, we don't have to pay $500,000. We can start our school the same way, and we can run our school that same type of way. But if we ran a school, I said, man, we need to run the school like all the things that we wish school was when we was younger. So like, what could make our school stand out? And that, of course, we were in entrepreneurship, so that's where the starting a business came from. We're like, we want to increase literacy. We want our children to read. We want our children to be into reading and learning. So let's make them all have to publish a book. And that's kind of where that came about. So it started on the second floor of our beauty supply store. Literally, the first month we talked about it. 1 month, me and my wife talked about it. The next month, I printed flyers. The next month, we opened our doors. So it happened that quick. It was like boom, boom, boom. Neither one of us got a background in education, so it's not like we really knew what we was doing. We just had the innovation of being entrepreneurs, and we was like, we'll figure it out as we go. But I realized that in my city, I'm in Rockford, Illinois. It has the third worst educational system in the country. So I was like, hey, we can't do no worse than what they already doing, right? Um, Also, I had two daughters. My daughter was testing to the top 2% of students in the country. And so people was always asking us like, what did you do with her differently? What did you do with her to make her so, intelligent? And really it was just, spending time. Like you go on my wife's Facebook page to this day, you can see her at like 2 years old doing high level math. She's reading, sounding words out at 2, so she got the little toys and she like pee with the and she's like pup and pan. And she, so it was like, it's not, we concluded it's not that our daughter was so special. It's that we took the time and taught her in a systematic way that you can put any child into this system and you'll produce those results. So that's kind of like the origin stories of the school.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's interesting. So 1 month you got the idea, the next month you were opening a school. So in terms of, because I know one of the challenges a lot of people face when they think about this concept of starting a school begins with curriculum. So what are you guys doing? Like, how did you, or what did you do to develop your curriculum that you're teaching?
So curriculum was a big part of it because we had to be able to, excuse me, we got to be able to teach Common Core, right?
Right.
English, math, science, history. With us, we have spelling, something we call word building. And so we look to see what is it that the state of Illinois requires. So we went to the Illinois State Board of Education. What is it that they require for us to be a school that's registered and then eventually recognized in the Illinois State Board of Education? Once we found out the Common Core standards, we were looking for a curriculum that matched that. So we wanted something that we could teach children and give each child like their own individualized education, right? So in the public school they call them IEPs, but we don't call them IEPs. We just like we need to find the way we can teach in each child individually, and that is because say you say you have a child who's whatever age, a child may be reading on a fifth grade level, they may be doing math on a third grade level, but they may understand science on a seventh grade level. So you can't lock a child in to academics based on their age. It's got to be based on their intelligence. So understanding this concept, we develop. That's how the curriculum was developed around our babies. Was we need to be able to shoot these educational gaps that our children have in their education, in their learning, in their process. Because if we can shoot those gaps, then we can catch a child that's 2 years behind. If we shoot all their gaps and we find out, we give them an assessment and find out the things that they don't know that they missed, we can cover those gaps and we can bring that student to where they need to be quicker and sooner. And so, in developing the external part of the curriculum, which is like the entrepreneurial, the authorship side. So one of the things for me that I knew was I didn't have the information for our children, right? I only knew a little bit and I was still brand new learning myself. So what we did is we brought in guest speakers like twice a week, right? We brought in guest speakers twice a week. So everybody from like A. Donahue Baker, Marquell Russells to all the way down to all the way down to entrepreneurs who might have just started their business like 3 months prior. We brought in millionaires. We brought in new entrepreneurs. We brought in everybody and let them speak to our children. One, to broaden their horizon, but two, so our children could see themselves in these other people and see all these different possibilities of things that they could be. And it just blossomed from there. We developed entrepreneurship. We're working right now on I don't want to say redeveloping. We're working right now on standardizing a lot of what we have, especially for the external piece, for the entrepreneurship and authorship. So that way, as we expand across the country, all of our children are getting the same information through the same system, and they're all learning the same thing at the same time together. So,
Okay. All right. So then would you be considered a charter school in Illinois then?
no, we're private, and we
Yep.
chose private because it's very important for us to control the narrative 100%. So, charter schools, most people don't know, charter schools still belong to your school district. So you can be the CEO of a charter school. If the school district has a problem with you or they don't like something you're doing, you can get fired and lose your school. As a private school, the only connection we have to our public school district is that we have to get our title funding through them. But other than that, our school is 100% us. We make all the decisions. We control the curriculum. We control the narrative. We control what happens. We control who can come speak to our children. We control everything. And that was very important for us to control 100% of the narrative so that our babies are not learning about how great George Washington was, but also learning George Washington owned slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can he be the hero for on this side and own your people on this side? Those two things don't coincide. So we're private for that very reason.
Okay. All right. So you got your standardized curriculum. So then are the students following the traditional format of a school day, and like they would do in a public school, or do you have a variation on that?
Nothing about our school really is traditional outside of the fact that they have Common Core, right? So there's two different ways. So we also have the virtual component of our school. Those are students who are not in the same city as us. So students in California, students in Texas, students in Georgia, students in North Carolina, wherever those students are at, those students go to what's called our virtual school. The virtual school is only in school for about 4 hours a day because most of school is fluff, right? You got recess, you got lunch, you got gym, which you can do gym on your own, right? You have these extra things that are really fluff. And really, you only need to educate a child between 2 to 4 hours a day for them to really get the full scope of things. So our online students, they do their curriculums with the in-person students. Other than that, our online students, they're in and out. 8 o'clock to 12 noon, and they're out. For our students who are in person, they work at their own pace, right? So we don't have a teacher standing in front of the classroom like teaching traditionally. Like everybody just open up your social studies book to page 32. We don't do that. We don't have that. They're working in their own pace. Um, you could have a student working on math and science simultaneously at the same time. If they get stuck, then we step in and we help them. And so this way we're able to give individualized attention to every student. Additionally, we have one-on-one tutoring that happens all throughout the day. So students may be getting pulled in for tutoring. Students may be doing one-on-one with the teacher. Students may get pulled by another teacher. So it's very non-traditional, but it's based on giving and providing students with like the most that we can give. In fact, the public schools district out here sent their special education department to our school to check on some of the children that we have that had IEPs. And they said that there's nothing that they could recommend through our IEP that our school doesn't do for children every day as part of our school system. So 100% of what they would recommend, we do on a regular basis for all of our children.
Okay. Okay. So then everything's more on the computer then.
We do a lot on the computer. We do a lot on the
Okay.
computer. We do a lot on the computer. We do a lot of hands-on stuff too, because we
Okay.
want them to develop real skills in real time. So this year the big project is manufacturing. And so all of our students this year are manufacturing products that me and my wife started a product line prior to the beauty supply store. They're starting the product lines. They're learning the manufacturing, the marketing, the sales. Of course, all the money they keep because they're business owners. All the money that they make, they get to keep. They can set up contracts. They do pop-up shows. They can do trade shows. It's their job and their responsibility to go out, find the market, create the demand, offer the supply. Like that's their job. That's what they're responsible for doing. So, and at the
Because
same
it's
time, they're learning the manufacturing skills that it takes. Like, how do we take these raw ingredients and make this hairspray that you're selling? How do we take these raw ingredients and make this shampoo that you're selling, or this conditioner, or this body spray? Like, how do we put these things together? Then, how do we package it for marketing? Then, how do we present it to the public online, to retail stores, and other places like that? So they're responsible for that.
okay. So there's a couple of things I got to come back to. So we got a school that is actually virtual and it's in person.
Yes, sir.
So how in terms of student body, what does your student body look like then?
So we have everything from kindergarten through high school. So we do not have virtual kindergarten. We just found that a virtual kindergarten doesn't work. But if a student can read and if they're about first grade, we can have them virtually. So we got a little girl who's in California and she's I think this year it was considered third grade, but academically she's finishing up the fifth grade. So she's already 2 grades ahead. She's about to finish her fifth grade work. Because in our school, if a child finishes a grade, we don't sit around and wait for the next year. We just push them
Hmm.
into the next grade. So if a child comes in, like my daughter that I was talking about earlier, she's supposed to be in the eighth grade academically, but she's entering into her sophomore year of high school. So there's no limitations on, we don't stop them just because of their age or just because they finished something. And because with our system, they might finish freshman year, it might take 8 months. Well, if freshman year take 8 months, that don't mean you about to take 4 months to chill. No, you about to start sophomore year. Right?
Okay. All right. And so forgive me, brother Henry, but
No problem.
I'm a teacher too. So I'm asking questions that I think a lot of teachers are trying to figure out in their head. So
No
so
problem.
so, so work with me here. But so how do you assess how a student is prepared to move within 8 months from one grade to the next?
Gotcha. So our students take about 12 tests for each grade level, and they have to test out of each grade. And then we have, oh, that cough. We have a very high standard, right? So 94 to 94 to 100 is an A, 88 to 93 is a B. Below 88 is what's considered a C, but if you drop below an 80, you have to redo everything. You drop below an 80, it means you didn't learn the work. So the students they have to take they'll end up taking 12 tests, and those 12 tests are all assessing everything that they're learning as they're going. And so if they take those tests and they consistently you get an 87, an 87, well we can't. If you got two 87s in a row, that means you're not learning. Right? You haven't, because learning means you should be able to teach it back to me. If you can't teach it back to me, you didn't actually learn it. You might have got through it, you might have memorized, but you didn't learn it. And so learning is more important than actually memorizing. And so we want to ensure that our students learn so that they, for that grade, so say they were taking English 1 as a freshman in high school. English 1 is going to consist of 12 tests that they have to learn the material as they go through the curriculum. And those 12 tests will say that if they pass all 12 tests, that means that they learned the material and they're now ready to move on to the next grade.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And then I'm judging from everything you've been saying, this is a part of the curriculum program that you've chosen to use, right?
Yes,
This is
yes,
not
yes.
12 tests that you guys are creating personally.
No, we didn't create these tests. No, no, no. The things that the stuff that we created, that we had to create and we worried about was all the
Okay.
external stuff. All the stuff is going to enrich in the school day. So our core curriculum we didn't create.
Gotcha.
Everything else that comes with it that like kind of enriching the school, those are all things that we've added in to make the school, a little bit richer.
Okay. All right. So getting back to some of your stuff that you're creating here. So with the books, right?
Yes, sir.
So I was on the website and I saw, and you've already mentioned too, that the students have to write a book every year. So
Yes.
what's the concept there? Are they writing whatever book they desire, or how does that work?
Well, it's evolving, right? It's evolving. So this is the fifth year of the school. So up to this point, maybe up to last year, students were able to write about anything that they wanted, right? Fiction, biography, self-help, whatever they wanted that they could write about. This year, we've kind of tailored for our older students that they have to do either research or they have to do something entrepreneur related in their first book. Any books they do after that first book, they can do whatever they want. If they want to do a Harry Potter series type of books, they can do that. But the first book has to be a book that's either related to their business or something that's going to help somebody or bring somebody results, or they have to do some type of research, right? And we did that because we realized with Chat GPT and all the advent of technology, well, you can go on Chat GPT and it'll write a story for you, right? And so we teach Chat GPT in the school. We teach our students how to use it, how to do prompt mastery, because we want our students up to date with the latest things that are happening. So we understand our students could just go in and write a fictional book on Chat GPT, give it some characters, give it a plot, give it a theme, story done. Now they got a whole book. They can't be that simple. You got to put some actual work in. So that's kind of how we arrived at that. As technology moved, we kind of moved with the technology to say, okay, well, we'll teach you how to use Chat GPT, but it's still going to require you to do some real work, some real research, you got to put some real oomph into this. Chat GPT doesn't have enough information or enough knowledge to deliver the type of book that we're expecting from our students. So,
Got and now what's your goal in terms of the reason why you think it's important that they publish a book every year?
so my thinking and kind of my wife's thinking was, if a student comes to us in kindergarten and they publish their first book, because our youngest published authors are 3, right? If a student comes to us at 3 and they with us to, let's say, 16, which is the year they're supposed to graduate, at a minimum, that student would have 13 books. 13 books that you started writing from the age of 3 to 13, it gives that child so many more options in life, right? Because now you can go on speaking tours with your books and get paid as a speaker. You can get paid from the stage selling your book. There's just so many opportunities with so many doors that open up as being a published author at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, having multiple books, being entered in a certain like our children got deals in other countries, not other countries. What am I talking about? Other cities. They got deals in other cities. They got deals with black bookstores. Like they got deals with all these different entities. People have gotten different deals and different things that have happened. So there's power in having that and being a published author. And so for us, it's about empowering our young people. And for our very young people who may not quite understand entrepreneurship yet, because remember, for our kindergartners, first graders, even to our second graders, I'm not sure what grade you start learning about money, but money doesn't really have a value to them yet. They understand exchange and they understand, hey, if I sell 5 books, did, and I make this amount of money, my parents may give me 100 Roblox or Robux on Roblox. So for them, they understand it on that level, but they're still now entrepreneurs because they're selling something. They created a product. They own it. It's an asset. They can pass it down to their children. It has lifetime value. So it's important for us to teach that aspect to our children because it's about creating something from nothing. They start with nothing. They use just their imagination to create an asset that lasts for a lifetime. So that's why it's important for us that they get into that. And then the second side is literacy. If they're not strong readers or if they don't like to read, now you're giving them a reason to be involved and to be, fully involved with reading, to be fully involved with literacy, to be fully involved with how do I make this better? How do I make that better? How do I make these changes? So you're teaching them and educating them, though they may not understand it. You may tell them you need more adjectives. You don't have enough verbs to describe the action that's happening. What's a noun? What are these different things? So they're being educated while they're writing, and it's a way that you can educate without them knowing they're being educated. They just learn to
Yeah.
get smarter.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. So they're actually selling these books then once they're done. So what are they using? The traditional kind of online platforms? Is that what they're
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah. So once we get them published and they have their books, they can sell as many as they want. We had one 13-year-old boy selling about $1,000 a week in books in book sales. They was just going to pop-up shops on the weekend. His script was, "Hey, listen, I'm 13 years old. I'm a published author. Will you support me?" And everybody was like, "Oh, he's 13. He's a published author." And my man was bringing in about $1,000 a week, selling books, playing video games. You know what I'm saying? Like no hard effort. He just, I'm 13. Buy from me. They was buying from him. So,
That's
um,
amazing. That's
yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I told him it
So
ain't gonna be that easy when you get older.
no, it ain't gonna be that easy when you get old. They're like, all right, I'm selling a book too.
Right.
Now, so the other aspect too, of course, is the Entrepreneurial Academy, of course.
Yes, sir.
So everybody's starting a business, and so you were talking about this year, you guys are focused on manufacturing. So how does that work for the students? So in somehow they incorporate that part of developing those ideas, developing those products as a part of their normal school day, and then of course I guess homework and things of that nature.
Absolutely. So it goes into the normal school day. So we have an actual entrepreneurship course. And in the course, they're learning different things that they're applying to their actual business. The money that they make from their business is their money to do what they want. But let's say a child says they want to start a business, but they need $1,000 startup money, whatever. Now they can take business one that they have with their manufacturing business and they can raise the capital for that business. And so now they're learning, different lessons through raising the capital, and they're learning, all the different things that come with working in groups or you know, all these different type of ways. So the entrepreneurship aspect for our young people, um, is really a lot. A lot of it is hands on. It's the hands on lessons that they're learning from being involved in the actual thing. They're enveloped in it. It's happening in real time. You know what I'm saying? It's not we're not just theorizing and telling them, hey, this is an asset, this is a liability, okay, but actually touch an asset, actually touch a liability. You know what I'm saying? So that aspect, I think, for our children is really like strengthening their entrepreneurial core.
So as far as their capital that they need, how are they raising their capital?
So in the beginning, we funded, right? In the beginning, we fund like the startup. So part of their deal is, well, you got to pay back the money that we're funding you for, right? So we break them into groups, and their groups becomes their business and their business partners. They have to come up with, all the different things they're learning about, whatever their business plan and all different type of stuff. So now, as your business is growing, well, now let's say you got $1,000 seed money. You got to figure out the formula, how much the formula costs, how much of this do we need with this, with this, with that, how many products is that going to make, what are we selling them at, what's our revenue going to be, what's our expenses going to be, what's the profit and loss. They have to learn all these different accounting terms, but not in the sense of an accounting class. They're learning it in real time as they go through the business. And so they got to learn, okay, well, we're already $1,000 in the hole, but that's good debt. Right? Because it's allowing us to create these assets that we're going to sell. So there's a lot that they're learning as they're going through this process.
What products or businesses have some of the students created?
We had one student who was started an NFT business. He did like 25,000 in a day. That was kind of exciting. Then he turned around and did, was it like 9,000 or so, something crazy. He was making thousands of dollars doing NFTs. Don't ask me how. The thing
Uh,
with that student, he said, he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, I listened to everything you told me. I was on YouTube for like 9 hours. I studied. I figured this thing out. I just sold my first NFT for 25,000." I was like, "Bro, I don't know nothing about NFTs. All I know what it stands for, and whatever I told you, it must have been good. I have no clue, right? Because the basics of entrepreneurship and the innovation is there, but I didn't know. I just told him, hey, YouTube University, all the answers you need are there. You just got to go find it. And if
right.
you don't know what you're looking for, keep digging until you find it." So we had that. We had the boy with the books. My daughter, for example, she has a tutoring business. So she's tutoring students younger than her. She just actually picked up a new client, so that's kind of cool. We have students who have like bracelet businesses and some of the things that you kind of would expect from some of the younger children: bracelet businesses, jewelry. Um, One of the students, his father owns like a juice bar, so he works with his dad real close, and they do the things they do. So he comes back with his stories about what he learned. So it's just different with different students based upon their background. We have a sister who goes to the school who's the only black-owned doctor with her own practice in our city. She has a huge clinic, and her children have their own business, and she works with them on their business, but she also works with other students within the school. So the ecosystem of businesses is pretty vast. Everything from like your lemonade stand all the way up to LLCs. So
Okay. All right. That's cool, man. That's cool. I like the sound of this. So tell me now. So what about costs? So what is it? How much does it cost to go to this school?
So right now, at this very moment, we're the cheapest private school in Illinois, right? Our thing was, and we were able to do that because we got a grant through another supporter of the school. So they put some money up. We were able to offer tuition almost dirt cheap. I can't promise it's going to stay at those rates, but for this year, for those who got in this year or the last year, we're able to have private school. It'd be the cheapest private school in the city. Um, it's funny that you mentioned that. From client attraction, I have a brother, Bruce Waller Jr. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's in education, and we just met this week. Actually, there's a bunch of the coaches and a bunch of successful, way more successful than me, people that have accomplished just all kind of crazy things, and everybody's vested in the school. So we actually formed a team that we'll meet. We'll have our first official big meeting in November. Everybody will come to the school. They're going to do observation, and then we're going to do training. And the goal is to get the school to carry like a $5 million budget going forward. So that way, as we standardize the school and as we have an official budget, now as we move into these other cities, we kind of have a standard, we have an expectation, we know what to do, we know what we're looking for, and it just makes operating easier because this is our 5th year, and we just been trying to figure it out. Like as we're going, we haven't had all the answers. We've been figuring it out. We've been going through like how do we do certain things. And so we've been blessed with the school that we've been in the right places at the right time to be able to pick up, oh, we could hire another 4 or 5 teachers because we have this money over here from this pot, or we can hire these people. We have tuition came in like this. So it's not fully, I want to say it's not fully how it will be, but it's been a blessing thus far that we've been able to operate like that. So, um, we just keep working and let the chips fall where they may.
Okay. All right. So I take it you don't want to give me the actual number. I got
The actual numbers? No, I can tell you.
you. Oh, okay.
Tuition. No, I was just telling you the process we're going through. So tuition right now for our students is like 250, right? It's 250. It's 250 per student. Um,
$250?
yeah, $250. So you're like, how can y'all operate at 250? And that's been part of the magic is because, like I said, I don't know if we can keep it at that rate. But as long as we're in the position that we're in now, that rate works just fine for us right now.
So with that 250 per student, but that's what you're charging the students to basically make sure they can get in. You have other monies that are covering the I don't I guess it's not the overage, but you have other monies covering everything else from
Yes.
other outside sources, which
Yes,
is
sir.
why you're able to charge that 250. Okay.
Yes, sir. So,
Okay.
God willing, we can keep it. The goal that we had, we don't want to make it free because we know people don't value free,
Right.
right? The goal that we had is that we want to be able to reach like the parts of our community that need this information the most. But we also understand that a lot of those parts of our community, because specifically we focus on African American children, the parts of our community that need that the most, oftentimes where you find like the highest poverty, highest crime rates, highest abuse, the highest amounts of trauma. And so there's a little bit of conflict there, right, with the people that can benefit the most. So it's a balancing act. I can't tell you that we've mastered it. It's definitely a balancing act of trying to offer the highest amount of value that we can at the lowest rate that we can, but still something that says you're getting, you're paying for something but getting 10 times the value, right? So
Gotcha.
that's what we're kind of trying to play, that balancing act. That's why we have this team coming in November to help us just get these things in order so we can really move forward as a unit. So we're really excited about this team coming. It's all
Okay.
kind of folks that's lit. So
So in terms of your accomplishments in terms of graduation, so
yeah,
and you say this is your fifth year. So how
yes, sir.
many students have reached graduation, high school graduation?
So we just had our first high school graduate last year, and he graduated. Actually, he wasn't even in the school. He's in Austin, Texas. So we did graduation in Texas. We had our first high school graduate in Austin, Texas. We have another student who's actually about to graduate early now. She has about 4 books left, I think. So she's about to graduate in the next couple months. And so yeah, and she's graduating early. He graduated on time, but it actually was early from where he came to us because he came
Gotcha.
to us behind. We were able to catch him up, and so after those two, we have a larger group of students who a lot of them will probably graduate early as well. So
And then when they're graduating, they're getting a traditional high school diploma.
absolutely, they can take this diploma and go anywhere in the country with it.
So how does that work from the standpoint of you're based in Illinois, but then obviously you're taking in students from across the country. So how does that translate all the way around from any state?
So so the virtual component of the school, the actual school is based in Illinois. So any student who attends our school virtually, they're attending our school in Illinois. All right. So as long as legally we're doing everything we need to do by the Illinois State Board of Education, we can give out degrees to all the children who attend our school. So even if they're virtual, they attend our school via Illinois, so they can get a diploma the same as any student who was in Illinois can get a diploma.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. And then so I'm hearing you. So it sounds like your goal now that once you can kind of get the model together, your goal now is to start this and go across the country.
absolutely.
And
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
yeah,
I was
so
excited
I
with
was
your
just gonna
question.
say, how does that for you? What does that look like in terms of now expanding across the country? Are you looking to go to every major city and start something like this, or what are you thinking?
You know what? Really, the idea for expansion came from a lot of the partnerships we had. So, like, we're working with Marquell right now to open a school in Atlanta. We have teachers hired. We have a location. We're just looking for more students to kind of get the doors open. We have a spot in Houston, so we plan on opening in Houston by like January. We have one teacher in Houston. We're looking for some more teachers, and we're looking for students in Houston. We have 2 other locations that we're looking at. We haven't made finalized anything. The goal for us and what it looks like is we would love to open several of these schools, and if everywhere this school goes, the businesses within the school are able to help purchase more property, more real estate for the school, and then we can almost gentrify the neighborhoods around the school to make the neighborhoods around the school a safe place. And when I say gentrify, I'm not talking about bringing white folks in. I'm talking about gentrify with our own a certain type of black class
I
of
got
people.
you. I figured that. I understood that when you said it.
I had to clarify for
I,
the podcast.
I understood that when you said it. I understood it.
uh,
I got you. I hear
yeah.
you.
So the goal is to lower crime, increase property value, increase the tax base in that community, and have these businesses that are flourishing that the young people have, but also because the school is holistic to help families also get into business because we're trying to and we're striving to help break these generational curses of poverty and us not having enough money to get by, and just all the problems that happen in our community. So the goal is to have several of these schools in different cities. We've talked about franchising, but I don't want to necessarily franchise until we can prove that this model works and it works in several areas that we control. Because my greatest fear, and it's really justified from these meetings that I've been in, is that the white community looks at our school differently than the black community does. In the black community, there's like different classes of us, and the lowest classes of us don't understand the value of this school. But every time we go in a room with like educators, and we go in like and white folks talk about the school, they talk about it in a way like, how much does it cost to franchise your school? Like, we're willing to pay top dollar. Black people are like, it's cool. So we're like, all right, we gotta make sure that we understand the value. So that also looks like we want to put our school in some of the worst cities, the Philadelphias, the Chicago's, some of the worst cities where some of the worst crime is at, to show our people like, hey, we can do this, and we don't have to beg, we don't have to borrow, and you can. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. If you dedicate yourself to something in unity with your community, then you can become successful with it. So that's the mission that we're trying to push out.
Got you, got you. So let me ask you something. Let's. So when you think about what's your background? So in terms of your upbringing, was this something that was instilled in you from your parents, or is this something that you developed as you've grown up and kind of learned more about what's going on in the world?
Yeah, nah, my hustling was my background. So my wife has 3 degrees. I guess I can preference that. I have zero. But I'm the reason we're able to move like this is not like the idea is completely ours. I joined the Nation of Islam when I was like 20. And so I always had this idea, like, what if we could create something for the community that was good for the community that everybody could participate in? That it didn't matter what your religion was, it doesn't matter what your class is, it doesn't matter what your creed is, it doesn't matter what your gender is. It's for the community. So I've always had that idea, but I just never was able to execute on that idea because I didn't have the thing that I would use, the vehicle that we could actually do that. And so the school it wasn't like we did it on purpose. The school literally fell in our lap. We didn't I didn't set out to be like, we're gonna build this school. It just, as it happened, it was the perfect thing at the perfect time that made the most sense of how we can have the most impact and help the most people. So the idea though of like helping the community, really, I've had that idea, and I didn't just start with the school. In my background, I've built several community, like grassroots organizations from the ground up, that have been highly successful. We've had stuff in the national news. I've always been looking and building things, but I just never found like an institution. This is the first time I've actually built an institution and realizing the difference between black businesses and black institutions. So, a black business, you can make money, your family can make money. It's typically good for you, maybe the community. But black businesses, typically, there's not a balance, there's not a struggle for power. Black institutions, we're talking schools, banks, hospitals, clinics, policing, governing, those type of things. There's a struggle for power, because if you have a school, you now have the opportunity to influence the minds of the young people. And so I realized that we need more black institutions, not just black businesses. Black businesses are good. I have a business outside of the school, but black institutions are complete. It's a complete different ballgame. Building an institution versus building a business.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things. Dr. Umar Johnson. We don't agree on everything, but that's one of his things that he talks about is in the black community we don't have those institutions. We're too busy trying to create those small businesses, which are amazing. But like you said, the small business only helps that family, but it doesn't bring the community up. And what the goal of a lot of us is to transition our young people so that 20 years from now, we're that 1.6 trillion that they account for is actually meaningful, and it's
Right.
not just going into the hands of consumerism, which is what we tend to
Absolutely.
do. It's going into the hands of creating bigger and greater black communities.
Absolutely.
uh, that's something, I agree with you on that. That's one of the challenges I see, and I even wonder from because a lot of our a lot of our athletes, a lot of our entertainers. Obviously they're coming into that first generational money, and they're
Mm-hmm.
coming from these communities. And so one of the questions I always have is like, why aren't they beginning to be that branch?
Mm.
Um, not that they have to do it all, because nobody can do it all by
Right.
themselves. But I think, it would behoove some of them, maybe not all of them, to at least be that branch to help a brother like yourself who's willing to get in the dirt and do that grind, you know, but they help be a part of that funnel, and nobody's even asking for $10 million.
Right.
Give me 100, give me 100,000.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Well,
it's like, but we need people like you who are willing to get out there and do these things. So I'm impressed with the vision. I'm impressed with the vision. I definitely see the benefit. I know, like recently in the news, there's this big conversation about affirmative action,
yes, sir.
and the idea of how they're taking affirmative action away. One of the things I argue is we didn't need it anyway. We just needed to build systems
Mm-hmm.
so that if we want our kids to go to Harvard, we have a system in place for those students who are going to have the knowledge needed to qualify to get to Harvard. They'll have it.
Right.
We can build our own schools and be the pipeline to send our kids to Harvard if that's what we're interested in doing.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to wait on like I work in the public school system. So in all honesty, I'll just argue from the school system I'm in. I'm in Florida. Is it great? I don't think you can ever make it great, but is it functional? Are they doing the best that I think a school system can do in the parameters in which you have to follow guidelines from a government? They are. Obviously, there's a lot of cracks in the system. I saw some of your videos online, and I know you talked about, and you even talked about here, improving those gaps in the children, which is one of the places I know the public school system fails at. But it's those things are needed, and so what you're doing is needed, and we need more schools like yours if we're going to improve the community in the ways that we say we want to improve the community. Because at
Absolutely.
the end of the day, if we're going to improve the community, there's no government program is going to do that.
Right.
It's
Right.
gotta
Right.
be us, and we have to create those systems that are going to be necessary to improve us the way that we want to see us improve. Because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, when you look at other communities, they're not there because of what the government did. They're there because their communities invested in their communities. And then because of those investments, now we see what it can be. And
Right.
and the moment we catch on to that, and we not only support brothers like yourself, but more brothers step up and create these other systems that we need, I think that's where we'll see the change that we're looking for in society. So I
Absolutely.
commend you, man. I definitely commend you. And I look forward to seeing your growth. We might even have to talk offline because you're doing some stuff, man. You're doing some stuff. You're definitely doing some stuff. So I don't think you've mentioned the actual name yet. So please tell everybody what the name of the school is.
The school is called Kikifer's Entrepreneurial Academy, or Kikifer's Entrepreneur Academy for short. And Kikifer's, people be asking me, I gotta say this, if you're like, is that like Swahili or something? Is it like, this great African? I'm like, nah, my wife's name is Kishanda. Her nickname growing up was Kiki. So we actually got the name from a comedian. We was in Vegas. So Kiki first plays on the name Kiki. So yeah, but that's what the school is called, Kiki First Entrepreneurial Academy.
And then how can people support what you're doing?
So couple things. We have a program called Adopt a Student, and people can, we're streamlining it even more. So now we have an app coming out probably in the next couple weeks. But as of right now, we have the website. The website is up and it's got a lot of facts. Student people, supporters can adopt a student. They can help students with like their tuition. They can help students with field trips. They can support the school in general. We also, for people who are local, you can volunteer. We do a lot of out of the classroom things, so we always need lots of volunteers. And then also we also have a lot of guest speakers. And so our thing is, and it was made us great, is we reach out to a lot of people, and we have a lot of people who willing to sacrifice an hour, maybe 2 hours at a time, and just come talk to our children about what they do, who they are, how they got into it, what they do. And we're always looking for like mentors for the young people too. So for example, when A. Donahue Baker came and spoke to our children, I had a young brother who was like, I never knew black people could own their own bank. And then he was like, yo, well, can I talk to you about that? So, um, that those type of things broaden their horizons, So, of course, financially, people can always give. They give it their time. They can volunteer. It can be guest speakers. Those are the things that really move the needle for us, though. Because, like, if somebody, I got there's a young brother that does real estate. He's a multimillionaire from real estate. You might have known him, seen him at the conference, Rasul. Well, I can't teach the children what Rasul can teach, but he
Hmm.
understands venture capitalism. He understands, all these big terms and things that is I'm not educated enough to know all of that, and it's not my specialty, but he can teach it. So we're always looking for people to be guest speakers, talk to the children, offer to be a mentor, all those things always, even if it's virtual. Check in with a student, just encourage them. They may have a business, they may have a hard day in business, they may not get the sales they thought they were going to get, or whatever the case may be. They may have a 0 day, but you never know how your encouragement could actually influence a young person and help keep their trajectory going in a positive direction. So
Gotcha.
all those ways work.
Okay. And what's the website for the school?
The school's website is kikifersacademy.org. I'll spell it just so everybody knows. It's KIKIFERS, then the word academy.org. That is the school's website. And then there's also a website if somebody wants to help sponsor a child or do partial scholarships or anything. That we we have our Adopt a Student program was started so people could donate like monthly and they can help a student with their tuition. And that is adoptastudent.kea.org. So those are the two websites the school has. Kikifersacademy.org and adoptastudent.kea.org.
Okay. All right. And then we'll go ahead and close. But is there any last things you want to say to the people before we close?
Yeah, my daughter wants to say something. I know she's here. Wait. Oh, she said, can you ask her a question? She said, can you ask her a
Can
question?
I ask you a question? I got you. Well, tell us about your experience at the school.
So I've been going to school since it started at the very beginning. So I was going there from the beauty supply store to up until where we are now. And it's been, even though it's been 5 years, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years. It's been a really amazing 5 years because we've had so many guest speakers come talk to us, and we've had so many different people talk to us and just pour into us what they know and pour into us the love that they feel for the students. So I think it's been a very amazing experience.
Okay. All right. Tell us. So you've been there 5 years. So does that mean you got 5 books? Well,
I
no. This is the fifth year. So do you have 4 books? I should say.
I am about to finish fifth my
Fifth book.
fifth book, and then I'm gonna take two of the same classes, so I'd still have 5 books.
How many
Unfortunately,
books have you illustrated also?
I've illustrated about 30 books.
Wow. Okay. And now, what are your books about?
My first book is called Detective Maya. It's about a detective who goes looking for a missing book, but the missing book is special because it's written with diamonds and gold, and the thief stole it. And she has to find it to make sure that they don't sell it.
Okay. So Detective Maya. All right.
Yes,
Is that something you can look up on Amazon?
you can find Detective Maya on lulu.com. That's
Lulu.
LULU.com.
Amazon?
Lulu.com. And is that
Did you not put it on Amazon?
You
Oh.
told us not to sell our books on Amazon because they take like 60% of your profit.
Oh, well, that's if you don't want them to take your profit. Yeah.
I don't want them.
I got you. So Lulu.com and it's called Detective Maya. So is that more of a children's book then? Or is it
Yes.
a more of a short film like children's book in like elementary age or okay. So like a really short read then.
That's an elementary book, but the book I'm publishing this year is going to be something along the lines of birthing black babies, and I'm already in the works and I'm already writing this book, and it's going to be about mothers, black mothers specifically, giving birth to black babies in America because of the American, because we all know the American hospitals, they don't treat black people right. And I, when I get older, want to be an OBGYN. So I'm learning while I'm writing the book as well.
Got you, got you. Now, are you the daughter who is really eighth grade, but in actually 10th grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Okay, all right. And then what in your business that you're doing, is it related to your books or are you doing
Yes,
something else?
it is. So I started tutoring because even though I want to be an OBGYN, I have to go through about 10 years of college to be an OBGYN.
Yes, you
But
do.
right now, I work with young children for tutoring. So I tutor kindergarten through second grade. So I still get the experience of working with young children, even though I'm not an OBGYN yet.
Okay. And what were you thinking about going for college?
When I go to college, I do know I want to go to an HBCU. I'm not totally sure of what HBCU yet, but I do know I'm going to go to an HBCU.
All right, that's awesome. We need more kids going to HBCUs. What about med school? Have you thought about that yet?
I have thought of med school, although I have thought of med school, but I haven't looked up as much med school as I have pre-med and pre-med programs.
Oh, okay. All right. What are you well, from HBCU, I'm partial to two schools in particular. I graduated from Alabama A&M, so I love Alabama A&M, and then I'm from Florida, so my other school is Florida A&M University. So I am partial to those two schools. Both of them have really good. I don't know if you're trying to do the biology route in terms of your degree, or if there's another particular science that you're interested in. But both of those schools are great. They are a little. I think they're going to be a little distance away from home, of course. So I don't know how far you're trying to go, but those two are really good schools. Well, that is awesome. We definitely need more doctors, and it's cool to see. I guess if you're supposed to be eighth grade, what are you, about 13 or 14?
Yes, sir. I'm 13 turning 14.
13, turning 14? Yeah, so I got a 13-year-old too. We're working on him though. He's not as focused as you are. We're working on him though. That's good. I commend you and encourage you to keep going, to keep going. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Brother Henry,
Yes, sir. What's back?
There you go.
so we'll go ahead and wrap this up, man. I appreciate this talk, man. I've definitely learned a lot. Again, I keep going, man. Keep going. What you're doing is needed in the community, and man, I look forward to see the success and the expansion.
Absolutely.
The success and the expansion, because with a school like this, if we put something like this in every major city across the country, the way we can begin to change the next 20 years, man,
Yes, sir.
man. I forgot to ask, how many current students do you have enrolled?
Right now it's somewhere between around 40 to somewhere between 40 and 50.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So we interestingly enough, we got to a certain point where we had we were close to 100 students, and I learned a very valuable lesson that what happened was the public school started dumping all of their problem children into the school that they started recommending our school for the children that they couldn't handle. And so one of the things that's really important about the school is the environment, because things only grow in certain environments. And so um after we had this year of trial with all these students, we cut back. And so now, in order for somebody to get into the school, they have to go through an intake process. We had one, we stopped doing it because we had so many students, but we brought the intake process back so that way we can really get a commitment from the family, from the student, make sure this is where the student wants to be, where the family wants them to be, and that they're going to commit to excellence so that we can help they can help themselves and we can help them help themselves when they come into the school. So um, we'll probably increase. We have a bigger location now. We'll probably increase the amount of students that we have. But yeah, we had about 100 students the year prior, so we had to bring that number dial back a little bit and kind of restructure with how we were allowing students to enter the school.
Right, and that's that's a part of business. It's a part
Absolutely.
of understanding, you know, what it is that you need and um, what type of things you need to put in place to ensure your success.
Absolutely.
And so again, you like you said, you're working on building out how what this looks like and how to scale it. I definitely understand that. Man, well,
Absolutely.
Brother Henry, I appreciate you for joining me, man, on A Brother with Questions. You guys heard it, Brother with Henry. It's called Kikifer Kerr's Academy. That's it,
Kicker
right?
first. Kicker first.
Kikifer's Academy.
Yep.
Kikifer's Academy. Kikifersacademy.org is the website. So please go check him out. Brother Henry, thank you for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been A Brother with Questions. I appreciate y'all for listening. Until next time, I'm out.